is getting back on the golf course again this offseason, participating in the Annika golf outing. And she has a couple of caddies that are going to be taking the course alongside her in the form of Sophie Cunningham and Lexie Hull. Sophie and Lexie kind of called this shot, or especially Sophie did, back before when it was first announced that Caitlin was going to do this event.
All right, this is crazy. Caitlin Clark recently brought 2 caddies to her golf tournament. And here's the thing. Sophie Cunningham is among them. Yes, that is Sophie Cunningham, the player who is widely believed to be leaving the Indiana Fever. She is now actually holding Clark's golf equipment. Here's the worst part, though. The WNBA offseason has been incredibly quiet. The league seems to have gone into a deep hibernation. Has there ever been a sports league that you were so unaware of that you forgot about it? Please share your opinions in the comment section below, as this is why.
To the comment section, you see there's Caitlin Clark with Nelly Korda, who was impressed with Caitlin's poise on the golf course last year, even with the crowds, and said she got into women's basketball because of Caitlin. Sophie Cunningham says Caitlin Clark need a couple of caddies. Lexie Hull with the smiling face or whatever that is, and some beer cheers. And Lexie Hull says, "Sign us up." And you thought that was the end of it, right? At least I did. I did not think we'd be revisiting that. Just felt like the cute little remnants of the Instagram comments section. But it is actually...
This is the breakdown then. Let's face it, Caitlin Clark is competing in a celebrity golf event, which is the height of off-season athlete activities. You know, when the cameras aren't rolling and they're not exercising in secret or doing whatever else famous athletes do. However, she needed a lot of caddy power for this specific occasion. We are referring to the type of guest caddies that increase the level of enjoyment for both the media and the spectators.
The GOAT, Caitlin Clark, bringing Lexie Hull and Sophie Cunningham along for the ride as golf caddies at her golf.
Suddenly, 2 of Caitlin's Indiana Fever teammates, Lexie Hull and Sophie Cunningham, are on the green. They're out on the golf course for the entire day, carrying clubs and perhaps even imparting some knowledge about which iron to use. This seems rather cool on the surface, don't you think? Just a lighthearted, enjoyable off-season get-together that demonstrates that players genuinely get along off the field. Completely normal. But wait, the plot twist is about to happen. There has been a lot of uncertainty around Sophie Cunningham's future with the Indiana Fever. Really, there has been a lot of discussion about whether she will stay, whether she is content, and whether the organization really wants to hold on to her. Even more bizarre is the fact that social media has been virtually silent about Sophie during all of this turmoil. We're talking about crickets, which caused many people to question whether there was significant drama developing behind the scenes.
Now taking her talents to the golf course, where she will join Clark for the Annika Pro-Am tournament next week. Unlike Clark, however, Cunningham will not play in the tournament. She and Fever teammate Lexie Hull have committed to be Clark's guest.
You might thus speculate about what transpired next. At this golf event, Sophie turns up as Caitlin's caddy, and all of a sudden, everyone is reading into everything like an FBI profiler. Oh, perhaps this indicates that she will undoubtedly continue to have a fever. This must demonstrate that partnerships are completely satisfactory. She is unquestionably being retained by the team. Alternatively, it's possible that Sophie simply had a free Tuesday and thought it would be fun to bring golf clubs for a buddy. Really, at this point, who even knows?
Clark has opened up the opportunity for both Sophie Cunningham and Lexie Hull to be a part of this huge non-basketball event. So again, when you talk about Caitlin Clark opening things up for other people, it's not just on the basketball court. That is the kind of influence.
Gamebridge, which is closely associated with the Indiana clubs and the Fever organization, made the formal announcement. Along with several serious golf pros like Nelly Korda and Lauren Yen, they exaggerated that Sophie Cunningham and Lexie Hull would be vying for Caitlin Clark. The tournament is scheduled for November 12th, giving spectators roughly a week to get excited about seeing basketball players attempt golf. The strange part is that, to be honest, this ought to be a far bigger concern than it is. Consider it. If you had even whispered that a year ago it would have blown up worldwide if Caitlin Clark and her teammates hadn't been playing in a celebrity golf event. A huge event, many pieces, and days of national news trending. But it's simply happening at the moment. Furthermore, the majority of individuals don't appear to give a damn. And that's where the actual narrative lies, my friends. The WNBA's offseason has been absurdly quiet. This league has essentially disappeared from public discourse after breaking viewing records, selling out arenas, and receiving constant media attention last year. And that is a serious issue. Think back just a year. In college, Caitlin Clark continued to dominate. However, there was unbelievable excitement and anticipation for her WNBA debut. Each game brought in millions of dollars. Every interview made headlines, and even those who had never given women's basketball much thought became enthralled. The league was experiencing an incredible surge of momentum that seemed to have the power to transform everything. Then the season arrived. Caitlin became infected, attracted a lot of attention, and the situation appeared favorable. Viewership, attendance, and merchandise sales are all extremely high. However, that impetus simply disappeared somewhere. Additionally, the team should be actively building on that interest during the off-season to keep supporters completely engaged. Everything is dead. Quiet. Honestly, the fact that nothing is occurring is part of the problem. No big announcements, no blockbuster deals, and no interesting plotlines to follow. Yes, the off-season in any sport may be slow. However, the WNBA was in dire need of maintaining that enthusiasm. They had new followers, casual admirers, and some who were intrigued but not really devoted. These fans required incentives to stay. They received radio silence instead. And there's the other huge issue: how Caitlin Clark was treated during the season by the league and, to be honest, some media outlets. She was constantly surrounded by criticism, hostility, and just plain drama. Other participants made remarks. Her significance was constantly questioned by analysts. Whether she truly merited all that attention was a topic of discussion. I'm just trying to watch some hoops for new fans. It was completely draining. Instead of being thrust into some strange cultural conflict that had nothing to do with the real game, they joined up for basketball. It's so crazy that someone in the NBA media apparently claimed that it's now difficult to not despise Caitlin Clark in the WNBA. Even though you're a troll in the NBA, if you consistently despise LeBron, you may still participate in discussions. Throughout the WNBA, it seems that the general population believes that you are a bad person if you don't continually discredit Clark. For a league looking to expand, that is not a good atmosphere. And that's most likely the reason why so many admirers stopped following. The drama wasn't what they wanted. They supported players they liked and wanted to see good basketball. Rather than building on its amazing momentum, they received a colleague who appeared more preoccupied with internal disputes. Now that the off-season is well in, interest has completely collapsed. A year ago, stories that would have been enormous are now hardly acknowledged. The story of Caitlin playing golf with her teammates as caddies ought to be entertaining and captivating, sustaining the fan base. Rather, it's really a minor incident that most people will completely overlook. The Sophie Cunningham, she is still intriguing since she has been one of the Fever's most crucial players, providing shooting, toughness, and the experience knowledge a young club sorely needs. However, there has been an odd feeling that some fans want her gone for reasons completely unrelated to basketball, which is exactly the kind of absurd foolishness that has been plaguing the league. Therefore, Sophie's appearance as Caitlin's caddy can be interpreted favorably. Perhaps it indicates that she is content. Relationships might be strong. Perhaps the Fever will make keeping her the first priority. Or, let's face it, perhaps she's just being a good teammate and it signifies nothing at all. Excessive reading, we gain more drama by delving into these things. It makes perfect sense for Lexie Hull to be there. She works as a teammate. They get along well, and she appears like she would enjoy an enjoyable off-season activity. That's just a player helping a friend, no drama. However, the entire issue simply demonstrates how drastically things have changed in just a single year. Anything involving Caitlin Clark was a nationwide sensation during the previous season. She was unable to breathe without it being discussed. She is currently participating with her teammates in a celebrity golf competition, and it is hardly registering. That's a natural part of it. Yes. Though when novelty fades, people move on. However, this kind of significant decline is simply unaffordable for the WNBA. They had to turn those casual fans into ardent supporters. Instead, they let that momentum to fully evaporate in order to keep it screaming. The remark that Paige Bucker's supporters resemble K-pop enthusiasts who repost content including Sabrina Carpenter's profile pictures without actually watching the game. Yes, that really touches home. There is a lot of talk about women's basketball on social media, but it doesn't translate into actual attendance or viewing. And at this point, such measures are more important than popular hashtags. These metrics are falling. The notion that Lexie Hull's caddy statement would have made national headlines a year ago. Completely accurate. Back then, everything was news. Every social media post, off-season activity, and player connection received a ton of attention. It's just another issue that most people are ignoring, which is incredibly unfortunate for everyone concerned. To create that momentum, the players put forth endless effort. And Caitlin Clark in particular gave the league previously unheard of attention. However, that focus was inadequately maintained. We are currently trapped in this peculiar dead off season. And all of that enthusiasm from only a few months ago seems far away. Faded recollection. The actual golf competition ought to be an absolute blast. Given that many basketball abilities translate to golf, it makes natural that Caitlin is actually fairly excellent. Her teammates' presence as caddies provides an enjoyable social component that enhances the entertainment value. It will most likely be a lot of fun if people actually watch or pay attention. The underlying issue, though, is that we're even wondering if people will pay attention. This is Caitlin Clark, the athlete who sold out arenas, broke viewership records, and made women's basketball the talk of the town. Now, an off-season gathering with her teammates could go entirely unreported. That's a dramatic decline in interest in a remarkably brief period of time. The WNBA must immediately determine how to keep fans interested throughout the off-season. They require captivating plots, regular content, and real incentives for followers to stick around. This is how other leagues do it. With free agency, trades, summer league, and non-stop news cycles, the NBA off-season is nearly as exciting as the regular season. However, the WNBA off-season has been largely quiet, and the momentum they have worked so hard to establish is being completely destroyed by this silence. It is not appropriate to interpret Sophie Cunningham's attendance at this occasion as a clear indication of her future with the squad. However, because there isn't much else going on, it is being examined that way. People begin analyzing every little detail when there isn't any real news. And neither the league nor its players will benefit from that. Furthermore, it's really annoying that the Fever organization seldom ever posts about Sophie on social media. Why aren't they promoting her more if she is such an important member of the team? Shouldn't they be demonstrating their appreciation for her if they wish to keep her? That not being active on social media could be an indication of internal conflict, or it could imply nothing. In any case, it has led to needless conjecture. The larger problem is starkly obvious. The WNBA was experiencing something genuinely unique, but they were unable to maintain it. They had popular notice, an explosion of new followers, and tremendous momentum. However, all of that has simply vanished due to bad choices, entirely preventable turmoil, and a severe lack of participation during the off-season. We've returned to a league that the majority of people aren't even considering. And that is a huge lost opportunity. Fans should be captivated by the entertaining tale of Caitlin Clark playing golf with her teammates over the slow months. Rather, it is hardly causing a ripple. In all honesty, that provides us with all the information we require regarding the focus of the league. As the season approaches, hopefully things will improve. However, it seems like everyone has forgotten about the WNBA offseason right now. In summary, Caitlin Clark's golf caddies are Sophie Cunningham and Lexie Hull. Additionally, the WNBA offseason is about as thrilling as watching paint fall. This would have been huge news a year ago. These days, it's just something going on while everyone is focused on something else. Please hit the like button and subscribe for more stuff if you truly enjoyed this reality check.